Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on October 20th, 2022. Now, those of you who know your Lord of the Rings, know your fantasy books and movies, and watched Lord of the Rings would probably instantly recognize this handsome gentleman, this handsome sword-wielding gentleman in front of the screen. Yes, this is the hero, Aragorn, from Lord of the Rings. Are we going to talk about Lord of the Rings today? Well, not really, but today happened to be the birthday of Viggo Mortensen. Who is Viggo Mortensen? Well, he is the actor who played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. And according to the uh, martial art and sword fighting director, uh, coordinator for those movies, Viggo Mortensen was the best swordsman he's ever trained, and even did a lot of the stunts himself during the filming of Lord of the Rings. Despite suffering a few injuries here and there, he was a trooper. So, even though, yes, I myself, I don't really know much about Viggo Mortensen, not really like a fan of Viggo Mortensen, because the only time I remember seeing him was when he played Aragorn. Now he really did that character justice. That I will say. Aragorn in the movie was like 100 times more badass than Aragorn was ever portrayed in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings books. With that said, even though I'm not really a fan because I don't know much about Viggo Mortensen, I am a fan of the character Aragorn, and this is a really well made action figure. Really old too. This action figure of Aragorn, I believe, came from 2003, was made by Toy Biz in the Lord of the Ring line. Now, I know that there's a new one made by Diamond Select, but honestly, I have so many personal bad experiences with Diamond Select action figures. They do some really good work. Their stuff look really good, but a lot of the time the design is bad, and a lot of time the line get canceled before all the characters get made. So yeah, I kind of have some personal reservation when it comes to Diamond Select handling one of my all-time favorite toy line, Lord of the Rings. So my Aragorn is for now and probably will always be this old favorite from Toy Biz from 2002 2003. So yeah, happy birthday, Viggo Mortensen. I know you'll probably never watch the Johnny Tiger channel, but hey, if you guys watching this, the big fan of the character, big fan of Lord of the Rings, then yeah, let's all say a collective happy birthday to this really, really good sword fighting character or actor who play this character really, really well. Now, while the character we're actually looking at today have nothing at all nothing whatsoever to do with Aragorn or Lord of the Ring or Viggo Mortensen, it is relevant to what we are talking about today, because today is also Spirit Day. Now, what is Spirit Day? Let me give you guys a quick condense of what I just learned today. I never heard of Spirit Day prior to today, but hey, I like to learn new stuff every day, and Spirit Day seemed like something pretty worthwhile to learn about. Spirit Day was created back in 2010 by a Canadian teenager. I believe her name was Brittany McNallen, and she saw on the internet how many suicides were committed by uh, teenagers that were bullied, teenagers in the LGBTQ community. And she was really sad, and she said, "We need to do something about this." So she found out that on people would wear pink on anti-bully day. So she said, "Well, we need to have a special day called Spirit Day, and we are going to which people should wear purple, because purple symbolizes spirit. I think for the LGBTQ banner or something like that. Personally, I don't know that much about the LGBTQ community or all that's going on. So I can't really tell you where the purple really coming, but it's supposed to symbolize spirit somehow, somewhere. So on the third Thursday of every October, um, people who celebrate Spirit Day will try to raise awareness to stop bullying for the LGBTQ community by wearing purple. So yeah, that is the origin, a quick uh, little origin about the Spirit Day and the color purple for this day. So if you see people wearing purple shirt, purple outfit on this day, now you know why. So to like I said, to celebrate Spirit Day, we have someone, a character that is very relevant in several ways, but he doesn't have anything to do with Lord of the Rings or Aragorn. Although, if they happen to meet on the road, most likely they would be fighting on the opposing side. Brace yourself, because this is going to get a little bit more scary with the character called Scareglow. Who is Scareglow? What is Scareglow? Well, because he came from the Masters of the Universe cartoon, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So there's really not that much to tell you about him, like a lot of the villains in the Masters of the Universe. They don't have a very complex story or motivation. Basically, they just look interesting, look cool, and they do some evil things, and they try to kill He-Man and the other heroes, and then they get defeated, and you never see them again. Yeah, that's basically Masters of the Universe in a nutshell. I will preface this by saying I personally don't know that much about Masters of the Universe. I never was really like a big fan of it. Yeah, gasp. Yeah, that I think some of you just lost a little bit of respect for me. But hey, I grew up in Taiwan. This kind of big, muscly white guy with sword thing wasn't really my thing when I was a child. When I was a child, what was my thing was more like anime, cartoons and movies with Asian characters in them, like Dragon Ball. Well, they're not really Asian, but they look Asian. And uh, Knights of the Zodiac and the various robot like Voltron, and and I mean I like Thundercats, but because they were kind of cat people, they were kind of cool. Uh, but yeah, I was never really a fan of Masters of the Universe because of, well, I didn't realize it back then, but how disconnected I felt from the character because Masters of the Universe was mainly made for like a white audience and like a European, North American audience that understand that kind of Viking fantasy barbarian references, uh, which was kind of a foreign concept, no pun intended, to most of the Asian audience back then. Anyway, I digress a little bit, but because, like I said, there's not much to tell you about the character, so I can kind of ramble on a little bit. So, Scareglow. One of the story goes that Scareglow, 500 years prior to Masters of the Universe, Scareglow was a normal human. He was a bounty hunter and a treasure hunter, and he was an evil bastard. He was like one of the more evil dudes across the universe. And he went and tried to steal treasure from Castle Grayskull. That's a castle that He-Man and his other heroes live in. In case that you're like me, that totally have no idea about the Masters of the Universe references. So anyway, this bounty hunter went and tried to steal things from castle, and then somehow got himself killed, and his spirit went on to become a ghost. And then 500 years later, when He-Man was battling Skeletor, and Skeletor and his evil minion were losing, Skeletor did this magic and he summoned up some of the most evil beings known throughout the universe. And one of them happened to be the evil ghost called Scareglow. And Skeletor basically told Scareglow, okay, now you work for me. And the Scareglow said, why should I? And then Skeletor said, because if you don't help me defeat He-Man, then I will never allow you to return to the underworld. I will not let you rest in peace. Rest in peace. Okay, so apparently that gets a trick. I don't know. Like sometimes, like I said, these motivations were made for children, so they're not really all that complex. So Scareglow said, "Okay, I will work for you," and then he went forward to try to vanquish He-Man. And truth be told, he almost succeeded because well, I was going to say one of, but Scareglow's superpower, pretty much his only superpower, was the power of fear. Now, this kind of links us back to Lord of the Rings, because if some of you remember Lord of the Rings, there were these ring wraiths, these bad guys, like the black armored undead horsemen uh, that uh, we were introduced to in the beginning of the movie when they were chasing the good guys all over the place. And the ring wraith, one of their most potent power was the power of fear. That when people encounter them, they can get paralyzed by fear, and even the bravest of warriors sometimes will turn and run away and forget to defend themselves. And so the ring wraith basically could dominate their enemy with that because anytime they appear on the battleground, the heroes would break and run because they were so scared. So Scareglow basically does the same thing. The power of fear and no matter how brave you are and all that stuff. So he scared Prince Adam so bad that Prince Adam forgot that he could transform into He-Man for a while, and Scareglow almost killed him until another hero interceded. I believe it was the hero called Clan Champ. What kind of dumb name is that? I don't know. Anyway, not important. So anyway, another hero intervened and was able to occupy Scareglow long enough for Prince Adam to transform into He-Man. And of course, after he transformed into He-Man, then Scareglow was a piece of cake. He-Man made short work of him. And so that was basically it. Later, in some later episodes, we can see Scareglow sort of hang around in what amount to hell, or what they call Subternia, in the Masters of the Universe world. So I guess he's like a guardian of the underworld or some, I don't know. Like anytime they show the underworld, they kind of show Scareglow, and when the heroes have to travel through the underworld, they always have to solve some challenge or riddle posed by him. So I don't know if he's like a guardian or something. So anyway, long story short, Scareglow is an evil ghost who has the power of fear, and a lot of heroes can't even battle him because at the sight of him, uh, their legs would turn to jelly and they would lose their courage and blah 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 blah. Yeah, none of that's very important. None of that's very complex. The point is, Scareglow look really really cool. This demonic Spectre with a skull for a head is dressed in a nice looking purple cloak with a very elaborate looking mantle that holds the cloak down. And beneath the cloak, he wears a kind of a purple robe. I don't know if that's like a dress or a robe. Yeah, I better call it a rogue. I mean, he's an evil spirit. If you tell him he's wearing a dress, he's probably going to get really mad and cause mayhem and all that stuff. Sure look like a mini dress though. Um, he's also got armor on his leg and his arms that have a nice metallic sheen on them that really offset the main feature of this guy. You see, in addition to having a skull for a head, Scareglow is one of the weirder design because he, I think they are trying to convey that he's a skeleton because he has these glow in the dark bones, but they are not sculpted on. They are painted all over him. So his body, at least to a blind person like me, feels like a generic, very buff, very muscular warrior's body, and it's cast in black, black plastic, and then it has all these white skeleton bones painted all over it. Now, we already established that he's a ghost in the storyline. So, is he supposed to look like this? Like, is he supposed to be a ghost with a muscular body, but you can see his bones somehow? Or is he a ghost that have muscular body and have bones growing outside the body? Uh, or is this supposed to mean that you can see both a skeleton and the skeleton somehow have muscles? I don't know. This is a really confusing character. I don't know what they're aiming for here. Um, but hey, he's a undead. He's a ghost with purple outfit, and a menacing looking skull, and he somehow manages to have a fair bit of heft to him. He is not like overly large, but he is big. He's very muscular, and this this action figure is relatively new compared to many others in my collection. This is made by Mattel. Yeah, the same company that made Barbie. Um, Made by Mattel, and I believe he was released somewhere around January 2022. So relatively new acquisition. I had him on pre-order with Big Bad Toy Store, and when he finally got released, he got sent to me. So, yeah, I believe it was in January. Um, I was very happy to receive him. You see, even though I didn't know anything about Scareglow, and I didn't, I'm not a big fan of Masters of the Universe. The idea of a guy with glow in the dark bones, not that they actually do anything for me because I can't see them, uh, but, uh, but I figured that he would look really cool on the shelf uh, with his purple cloak and purple robe or purple mini dress or yeah, whatever. Glow in the dark bones painted all over him and the skull head. Yeah, I mean, this is a great figure to show at this time of the year. We are getting close to Halloween, so a ghost is not out of the question. And, Spirit Day, Spirit, Ghost, yeah, fits. And then Spirit Day, you're supposed to wear purple. And this guy got really cool purple outfit. So yeah, like I said, he is perfect for today's episode. The sculptural detail on this figure is also very well done. I can't believe I'm actually saying this because, like, if you collect action figures or if you watch enough of my Toy Thursday, you know that Mattel is usually like the biggest joke in the action figure community. Like, any action figure made by Mattel is automatically kind of pushed towards the bottom of the heap. But with that said, uh, Scareglow, and several of the other Masters of the Universe uh, Mattel has been producing lately, I will say, are really, really well done. Um, and Scareglow here have very sturdy construction. Like he move in most of the places that you need him to move. He can get into some really cool poses, folding his arm across his chest, having his arm out to the side in T pose. His head can move left, right, up and down. His waist can turn. His body can crunch forward and back. His legs can kick and forward and back and to the side. Like, yeah, this is a very dynamic action figure of a ghost, a very muscular, dynamic action figure of a ghost. Um, and on top of that, he has some interesting material, like the body. The most of the body is constructed of this very sturdy plastic, and the robe and the mantle around his shoulder, that is kind of a rubbery material that lay over the body underneath, and then that purple cape, that purple cloak uh, behind him, that is soft good. That is some really good feel. Like that thing feels almost like leather, uh, velvet on one side and leather on the other side. It has a really interesting texture to it. Really, really cool. There's even a more exclusive version of this guy that comes with a different weapon, and he also comes with a more fancy cloak with wires inside, so you can actually pose him with a wire uh, shaped to so the cloak look like it's flowing in the air behind him, like he's in an action pose or stuff like that. Now, was not lucky enough to get the exclusive version, so I have to settle myself with a regular version. I just have a regular uh, cloth material cloak without wires inside. Now, since we mentioned, or I mentioned weapons, let's look at the accessories. In addition to the hands that he has in the package, Scareglow comes with two other pairs of hands, and you can change his pose of like he has hands that make into fist and grasping hand. So depending on what you want him to do with his hand, nothing dirty there. Scareglow has quite a few hand options now because most of the time my action figure body parts get thrown into uh, a bag and I label them and they get thrown into a big tub full of bags of action figure body parts. So I'm not going to go fish out the extra hand just so you guys can see him giving you the finger. But yeah, there are a few hand gestures that this guy have different hand options that you can put on him. Uh, in addition to that, he has his signature weapon, the Scythe of Doom. Like the sound of that. Let's say that again. The Scythe of Doom. And it is a very impressive looking weapon, although I don't know if I would actually call that a scythe. It looked a little bit more like a guandao to me, like one of those Chinese super long-handled sword. But anyway, maybe that's what's classified as a scythe in this Masters of the Universe world. Whatever it is an impressive looking weapon. The weapon itself is taller than Scareglow, super long handle. You can hold it in both hands and get into some really cool looking chopping, stabbing poses with this lethal looking weapon. And this is what happened when a hero from Lord of the Rings ran into the villain, the evil ghost from Masters of the Universe. When the scythe and the sword clash, which one is going to win? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just going by what we are seeing here, I think Scareglow is winning a little bit there. I mean, longer weapon, wielding with two hands, bigger muscles, bigger stature overall. Yeah, I don't think you are supposed to block that with a sword, Aragorn. I don't think this is going to work really well. Although Aragorn's sword is some really fancy elven-made magical blade, so maybe this will work okay. Or maybe not. Too bad, hero. Not today. Anyway, that is it for Toy Thursday and Happy Spirit Day for those of you that celebrate it. Thank you for checking out today's Toy Thursday, and we'll be back again tomorrow for some Fitness Friday with Johnny Tiger. For now, have a good night